I would like to give the floor to Mr. Teti, Avvocato Amedeo Teti, Director General of the Italian Ministry of Economic Development. And maybe the issue might not look directly linked to the oil and gas, but I would ask Mr. Teti if you'd like to expand and to explain a bit the EU trade policy involving Russia and Iran, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you to Dr. Laura especially for this opportunity that I have to intervene in this very interesting shipping and the law event. Apologize if I will go a little bit off of the oil topic, but I hope that you can be interested the same. I was giving a quick look of the ranking of the most 120 important ports in the world. And among these 120 ports, 23 are EU ports. About the 97 remaining ports, 17 ports are in countries where we, I mean EU and Italy, already concluded free trade area agreements. So countries like Korea, Mexico, Chile. From the remaining 80 ports, 3 are in countries where we already concluded the negotiation, but not implemented yet, the agreements like Singapore, Canada, this is an headache, you know, the CETA problem, and Vietnam. About the 77 remaining ports, 46 are in countries where we are currently negotiating free trade agreements. I mean US, the TTIP, Japan, Mercosur, India, Gulf countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, etc. With this, we can see that in the next future, 3/4 of the most important ports will be in countries where EU and Italy, of course, can have big preference in market access vis-à-vis other partners, other big competitor countries. The other quarter is mostly made by Chinese ports and Russia. It is not a secret that in the current EU trade strategy, China and Russia are now less close than other targeted trade partners. In our negotiation, I have to say that our main stakeholders, our main lobbyists, are among the industrial companies in Italy, in particular many sectors of Confindustria. For example, interested in approaching us during the free trade agreements and during the negotiation in order to show their expectation. But there are also interests from other sectors, like services, because our main target in the negotiation is not only to eliminate or reduce tariffs of goods, but also open a new market to our services, to government procurement, to fix protectionism problems like standards or certification, to protect intellectual property rights. In Italy especially, we have problems in protecting the GIs, the DOP problems we have like Italian sounding. So, among services, I have to say that we have sometime, we met sometime stakeholders in the maritime services entities. I mean freight transportation, passenger transportation, rental of a vessel with crew, maintenance and repair of vessels, feedering, etc. And in any case, I want to say that you, ladies and gentlemen, interested, for anything you need, you have to remember that myself and my department is at your disposal. On the second issue, that is Russia, I bring you here my personal assessment on the light of some experience. When Russia went in the WTO, it was the beginning of 2012, we in EU believed that times were changed, and the EU and Russia, these two areas, could soon become a great continental free trade area. And countries like Ukraine can, of course, become like a natural bridge between the two areas. But as we know, the situation went right on the opposite. Unfortunately, the Ukraine issue took problems and not benefits. But what it worse is that the political situation, rather, degenerated from a mere policy matter into an economic problem. My personal feeling is that when you face political problem, you need to seek only political solution to fix it. The sanction to violence events that alters the political situation, as it was, for example, the occupation of Crimea, are fine until they have limited scope and only concerning the diplomatic field, for instance. like interruption of diplomatic relations, or some specific cases, I would say, of controllable sanctions like arm embargoes, restriction for visas, etc. In these cases, we can say that we have sanctions that are fine, that are proportionate, commensurate with the situation. But when the sanctions take the form of economic sanctions, as are the import-export restriction, investment restriction, banning supplies of certain services, or other restriction in the industrial sector, then the effects can be unpredictable, uncalculable, and often negative, because directly or indirectly these economic sanctions have restrictive effects even in people who have nothing in common with the political issue that has generated the same sanctions. So my saying is, never mix politics with trade to try to solve international issues. Currently, in Russia, we spend more for this economic embargo, probably our companies, which today are asking us just the opposite, because they request to enter in a new market, to have new opportunities, to have new customers, in order to overcome the weakness of our weak economy we have here in Italy and in Europe. And of course, we in Italy especially are forced to change our strategy, and we have to attract new investment for abroad to overcome this. And of course, this policy of foreign investment attraction is currently a fashion in vogue today, and there is no country in the world that has not implemented so far a strategy to attract investment, and so did Russia. In addition to the counter-embargo sanctions that are prohibiting the entry in Russia of many products of countries like our or US, Australia, etc., there are now in Russia provisions prohibiting also the use of many foreign goods for government procurement, essentially trying to support the so-called local content production. And also our Prime Minister, when he intervened this summer in the St. Petersburg summit, spoke not of made in Italy, but made with Italy, to try to help Italian companies to participate in government programs with a Russian import substitution strategy, especially our SMEs. So, like all the other embargoes that have economic effects, also this one with Russia, let's hope that will end soon, because undoubtedly brings harm to our own interests. The question, of course, is when these sanctions will terminate. If Brexit will be implemented soon, assuming that it became real, seems likely that the EU as a whole should become a little less radical toward Russia. But on the other side, the current Syrian issue is not helping to improve diplomatic ties with Moscow. So probably for another year or two, maybe I'm wrong, hopefully, the embargo will continue. I can, however, assure you that my department is trying to interpret the rules of the trade embargo with Russia in the most flexible manner and as soft as possible, at least until we can use some discretion in interpreting the current regulation. Although, when there is a ban, we must unfortunately respect the ban. The third issue is Iran. And my personal feeling is that we are dealing with a very peculiar situation that is not entirely readable or decipherable. There are two dates. One date is July 14 last year, 2015. In that day, there was an important agreement, historic agreement, which allowed the withdrawal of most part of the sanction imposed on Iran in exchange of Tehran's commitment to limit its nuclear problem only to the development of the civil part. The other date is more important, is 19 May next year. Next year will be the presidential election in Iran. Up to this date of the general election, that means if the current president, Rouhani, will be confirmed or there will be a change, of course, toward the regime of more nationalism, until that date Iran will remain in a climate of big uncertainty, a climate where it's affecting much of Iran's economic current evolution and growth. The evidence of what I'm saying is that from the beginning of this year, when the sanctions were lifted, until today, nobody has really invested in Iran money, because it remains suspended on Iran a Damocles sword, especially from the United States, ready to withdraw the Vienna Agreement effects to return almost automatically to financial penalties if the next elections will be one of the Iranian party that is opponent of the agreement. Of course, in the recent months, We have seen flourish Tehran. The climate that reigns there is a big interest. We have company like Italian company are going to Iran looking for new business. But there is still lack of the tools necessary for the restart. I mean, for investments, lines of credits, export insurance, and also by Iranian side, adequate guarantees, including sovereign guarantees. And this is not just about Italy, which, however, is looking to move ahead of other partners, but also about other important partners like Korea, Germany, France, etc. Therefore, there is a fluid and complex situation. Italy is an historic partner of Iran and still maintains this important role there. But our big hope is that the situation soon develop in a positive way. Another period of embargo is not good for either for Iran or for the world. My former minister, Emma Bonino, said that embargoes always generate anti-democratic sentiments, and it is true. During the embargo, we faced, people suffered, and this made them become more and more chauvinist. We hope so, especially for the good of our companies, that things may be improving in Iran. Thank you for your kind attention.